One of the easiest ways to degrade or devalue a person is through language. When we use people-first language, we put the person before the disability instead of the contrary. I use this quote because I feel that what you are called plays an impact on what you become. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. However, whether you think you can or you think you can't may be a result of language. When you put the person first, you focus on the ability instead of the disability. About 54 million Americans, 1 out of every 5, has a disability. By using people-first language, we acknowledge, communicate, and report on disabilities, while at the same time empowering these individuals. What is student-first language? Student-first is when you put the student first, then strengths and interests, and finally their disability. An example would be, I am Mr. Podliska. I like wrestling, teaching, spending time with my family, and I have a learning disability. Using student-first language, I can teach you about myself and relate to those I engage with. I am not my disability. We are all different, therefore we should not pity those who are not like us. Instead, we should celebrate the uniqueness in ourselves and others. Much like the color of our skin, most disabilities are ascribed statuses, not achieved. You do not do something to obtain a disability, you are born with it. It is not a result of your choices. Some examples for person-first language. A person with a disability instead of a disabled person. A person with a physical disability instead of wheelchair-bound. A person with a cognitive or an intellectual disability instead of mentally retarded. A child with autism instead of an autistic child. A person with multiple sclerosis instead of afflicted by MS. A person of short stature instead of a midget. A person with a congenital disability instead of a birth defect. 2001 Hodge Trophy winner Nick Ackerman, without person-first language, may be referred to as someone confined to a wheelchair, insinuating he could do nothing without it. He was an NCAA Division III national champion and co-Hodge Trophy winner. Helen Keller was a lecturer and activist with hearing and sight impairments. She earned a Bachelor in Arts, spoke multiple languages. Michael Phelps is the most highly decorated Olympian of all time. He used swimming as an outlet for his ADHD. He was diagnosed in 5th grade, stopped taking his medication 2 years later as he began to use swimming as his outlet. Disability etiquette guidelines. Simple. Do not assume. Do not assume a person with a disability either wants or requires assistance. Rejection of aid is not a personal attack. Because someone has a disability, they have multiple, is a common misconception. They are dissatisfied with their quality of life. Remember, only ask a person with a disability if you know that person. The hierarchy of insults. The R word gets the majority of mainstream attention when recognizing words not to say in the educational setting, but often in popular culture, and maybe in the classroom, you hear idiot, moron, imbecile, lame, crazy, schizo, spaz, among others. These words are often used as insults or slurs, and they should be addressed. Many of these phrases fall under different categories of disabilities, and we need to work as a community to end all of them in our classrooms. As a society, we have gravitated away from slurs and phrases related to ethnicity, religion, and gender. Now it is time to take the next step and gravitate away from disability-related insults.